To say a very big thank you to everybody that I've seen perform. I do apologize for not being here from the start. I do want to thank Gary for organizing this, as well as his squad, his team. I was on Peterborough Radio this morning talking about Stephen Lawerence Day Today. Even got the t-shirt out of the wardrobe for it. So I'm wearing that with absolute pride, with humility, and with every sensitivity. I spoke to Stuart. He was I was lucky that he afforded me his time yesterday. And he said to me, it's about enabling people to use what's happened to their family, the Lawerence family, to help use it as a springboard to talk about race, equality, diversity, and indifference. He sent us a little bit of a video. I'm not sure if Gary had played it, but we'll share that with you as well. So, yes. I've just got to say, Rohan, your team, kind of your squad was amazing. Revolt Poet, Red Medusa, too many names to mention, but I can't forget Hazel. They're the ones that I'm familiar with as well. They're just absolutely fantastic. And if we've got that kind of power in a generation, that kind of movement, that shift of thinking, then we're in good company. It's amazing, and it's so good to see. And I just quoting you, Rohan, how do you fix something that revels in being broken? You know, sit there with that for a minute. I know, but with this is how we possibly can fix something that revels in being broken. I've brought a few guests with me today. I'll just quickly go over it. So I started a kind of writing group called Civil Rights, and there's a play on words. So civil, WRITES, and we encourage people to speak their truth and express themselves through the medium of poetry, spoken word, creative writing. We've got a chip called the Woodchip. So it's a USB key with lots of poets on it, including some of the poets that you've heard today, including Hazel. And there's the Woodchip. If you can hold that closer to the screen, we never planned this. Didn't plan that. The wrong way around though. There you go, the Woodchip collection. So it's a USB key, because often us as poets and as an audience of poetry and spoken word, we do tend to listen to and indulge in poetry, but at a second kind of rate of quality almost. So that all there is all WAVs, MP3s, and it's like radio ready. So I'll put the link in there, because, you know, we're on Instagram Live and we're on things like this, which is all great and it's amazing, but it's on USB. So and I'm actually giving 10% to the Stephen Lawerence Foundation from the sales of that. I'll put the link in the chat in a second. Quickly want to introduce my team. I'm mindful of time. I know that we're behind. I've brought John Bernard with me. I've brought YA Poet with me, Miss Yankee as well. Also Diary of a Poet, who's joined us. And they are flow poets. Some of them are flow poets, Flow Vortex, and an absolute ambassadors, particularly YA poet ambassadors for the voice of women. So powerful with that. And I just really want to introduce her really quickly, and just, can you all give her kind of like a little bit warm welcome, because she jumped in like literally unprepared as well, and at the last minute. You're a superstar. But YA, I'm going to hand it over to you as quick as.
Thank you, and thank you very much for having me. Evening, everybody. YA, spoken word, artists, lyricists, prepare yourselves. I haven't been prepared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refer specifically to my experience of racism, and the fact that I am bringing up 3 daughters whose dad's Jamaican. So my experience in terms of being both Asian and raising Black queens is very, very interesting, and it's very important and integral that I advocate in the best way I can on behalf of my experience. So I'm hoping, what we say in 1, 2, I'm hoping I confuse them, because that's what I do. I'll fuse what I can.
If you want to fuse it, then yeah, that'll be great. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, YA. Our fear of death is but a sound that shrouds how loud our desire to really live is, and how we take for granted the fact that we're living, breathing, seeing, dreaming in vessels that house our truth as age declines our youth, how pain hinders our use. but his loss of life redefines our design with his passing. And my girls haven't been in art class for some time now, but they could tell you about color wheels. They'll tell you color wheel, have you out here answering questions like, how does color feel? When their bodies grew within a womb where I consumed food in my placenta. And that outside world conspired an agenda, but they're here now. You're here now. And now that you're out, your mother trembles with fear now, wishes you didn't come out because it's been years now. Because you're 5 and outside, I have to look for cars as they drive past in case they try to take you. You have to be conscious of your color and the fact that race alone in this world has the power to make people hate you. At night you sleep and she tries not to wake you. She's been watching the news, praying hard that you escape through this madness, this mayhem, this matrix, this vision, this con, this business. Her job, her mission is more than this. It's more than stitches, ballet blisters, dirty dishes. So she makes you clean the kitchen. It's to make you listen, make you vigilant, make you ready, make you militant, because it's no joke. There's no pretense. She wishes that she could protect you, but there's no fence around the house you now as a teen want to get out of. No fence around the mouths of the people you like the sound of. You sound off, mouth off, convince you slow down, you slow down, throw down just to take your crown off. Your friends are out late and you're the only one with curfew. They've got the latest clothes on, you asked for it too, but feel like nobody heard you. You're in a group. Barely. Mum's always on your back and says real life is scary, it's fairy tales lately for these young queens. Now this baby's thinking of babies. Maybe if mum said more, I don't know how much more they could do to ensure that you don't endure. Maybe if they came into your room each night, kissed you goodbye, push for a more detailed reply to the times when they'd ask, how was your day? And you'd say, just fine. Maybe then you wouldn't be online thinking that your shape or your face or your waist wasn't right. Maybe you wouldn't be up ready to meet any guy that knows nothing about you. Maybe the guys wouldn't be up trying to avoid knives, trying to avoid knives that can clash. And a couple of teachers have made you doubt you. You're not the best in school, but that's not the best thing about you. Hear me. Please, because that's not you. There's more to life than this road and these streets and having big boobs. More to life than tutorials you watch on YouTube. More to life in this life we live from our bedrooms. More to being queens, more to being you, more to being added, more to being moved to, more to the banter, more to the girls you feel you've got to be rude to. This society lacks respect for each other, so there's no purpose and we need you. We need you each to see the real you, because I don't want to see you and know I see you. Cold, cold world. So now there's I see you. I see you whittled, belittled from some room that's been nice in you, trying to take a slice of you, taught me believe you, need you to know believe you. And here's my experience. Because you're evident, you're eloquent, you're intelligent, perfection, your excellence, testament to God, so you stay definite, sentiment to his love, so this love is of your benefit. You're no Barbie with no Ken, no Lois, no Clark Kent, no damsel in distress, you're the best, and yes, you're worth it. So side eye anybody who doesn't step up or deserve it. You've got to make them earn it. You've got to put the work in. You've got to be ready with these lessons. If you're invested, you will learn. It's important to set expectations. If met, you'll get information that leads to inclinations that make or break your foundations. Be careful. Keep yourself on that pedestal. Stand tall so they don't knock you. You've got you. You've got things to do, plans to see through. You don't need to get moved to by people who won't teach you. Those who move beneath you tell you sweet nothings to stay in a game where they speech you. Stand tall. Know you're dope so they won't reach you. Remember to fear. Sometimes in life, this is what you have to do. Know that there are good forces and bad forces that are conspiring against you, and I sensed you have questions. And even if you don't grow with the latest phone, you'll grow and know lessons. You'll know my lessons, you see. If I'm not Turkish, not Middle Eastern, not Arabian, not Persian, Greek, I must be some kind of Asian. And if it's too hard for me to portray in an obvious way one specific race, then I can't possibly belong to any particular nation. I must be an alien. I might be Israeli, elusive, non-conclusive. Oh, perhaps I'm Albanian. Oh, your mum's Caucasian then. So where's your dad from again? And then I proceed to explain to them for their mind to make sense of where exactly my ancestry, family tree, history, mystery, detailed descriptions on how exactly I came to be living in this particular country, British supposedly, but occasionally they'll refer to me as a Paki, even though the terminology isn't exactly used properly however derogatory, to incorrectly describe someone of Pakistani descent. You see, this could offend. Pakistan is still the same country that my dad's Bangladesh went to war with when the outbreak of civil unrest attests to his country's claim for independency. Bangladesh sought for liberation, and East Pakistan was said to have pursued it in a way then known today as systematic elimination for those who fought for this separation from East Pakistan to start their own nation. So while I'm not offended, however offensive, I'll explain in a way I politely make reference to the fact there's a difference. You see, that war went on till 71, where Pakistan surrendered and Bangladesh won. And although the mass murders are now less heard of, this country can't actually originate the way the country I originates from genocidal rape. You see, I come from a place where the women were taken, tortured and raped and impregnated and captive. They'd make them just to then say their offspring would enter the world the right race. So without being dramatic, it's these women held captive in these same systematic lethal war tactics that remind me of aspects I thought we'd surpassed. So I hope I don't bore you all when I talk of my past, because prior to that, when East India was ancient, with the French and the Dutch and the Portuguese traders arrived in missionaries during the 15th century, when the British East India Country, a British-owned joint stock company, colonialized alongside these overseas traders until the attempted invasion of Alexander the Great then failed. But Indians were still taken to different parts of the world as slaves in a less aggressive or non-disclosed way, and some still have no clue to this day. And all I'm trying to say is I can relate, not exactly, just similarly, not competitively, just simply an example of how British history, of how British colonialism and imperialism has affected even me, where laws by this British crown are imposed, and later the same countries itself fight and divide into countries of their own, where thousands of armies and leaders decide which villages pillage and how many die, and the very same countries then stand as allies responsible for how many people survive or the number of those killed in these mass genocides. It's undignified, it's unjustified, it's a crazy time. We live in a life where we are fed lie after lie until they coincide, and yet we can't coexist. YA. Thank you. I had to end it because of the cough. I get heated, I'm passionate, and then I'll lose my voice. Mad. Thank you.
Absolutely. So powerful, and you kind of flowed into that. It was like a big warm up, and then you just flew. You know, like how sprinters just they start off on a crouch and then stand up and just fly. It just wow, took me away. Why can't if every single teacher was like that? You know, if teacher, you took us to a history lesson, geography lesson. Religious lesson, you took us to all those lessons in that space of like 4 or 5 minutes. Amazing, and it's so engaging. And like, if my teachers were like that at school, I'd be like encyclopedia. Mr. Malize encyclopedia. More to be moved to. Side eye anybody who doesn't step up or deserve it. I know a lot of people picked up on the side eye. But listen, thank you so much for jumping us. Please leave your details. Let everyone know where they can find you. And I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Honestly, thank you. Anything for you. You got this.
Oh, thank you. If I could blush, I would.
Try.
I do
know.
Have
a lovely evening, everybody. Thank you so much for allowing me to perform.
Thanks all. Try to stay with us if you can, and like I say, leave your details in the chat.
Yeah, I'm here.
Good.
Yes.
So no I'm going to move on to John Bernard. He's a youth mentor as well. Out of Coventry, which is a lovely area of the UK. And he similarly encourages young people to speak their truth through creative writing and through poetry, spoken word, music across all kind of genres. An absolute inspiration. I met him initially in Northampton and kind of watched him grow as an artist and as a teacher. And his name is John Bernard, not John Bernard, which is where
you're getting it right now. Right?
Yeah, John Bernard, definitely. Right. It's one of those ones where you say we go way back, ladies and gentlemen. It's John Bernard. Well, obviously you don't if you didn't got his name right. So now I know that we do. We'll go way back. Yeah, I'm conscious of time. Sorry, everyone. Yeah. I'm kind of rushing through everything. Well, I think I am, but I'm probably not. I'm probably talking everyone's head off. But conscious of time, we are like kind of like half an hour, 40 minutes behind. So what I'm going to try and catch up as much as we can. John Bernard, I'm going to leave it to you. A little bit of an introduction, and when you're ready.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Yeah, like YA, if all my school teachers were like that and taught that way, I would have got some amazing grades, man. Like, literally, for me, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't know that fact. Oh wow. So it was awesome. And also like every other point that's been, it's been great. I've had moments where I've heard something and I've just been like, wow, okay, let me take some time to let that sink in. Like Quinton said, my name is John Bernard. I'm from Coventry. It's a privilege to be here, to be able to kind of share on, bringing light to the legacy of Stephen Lawerence. The death and like the whole sentiment behind Stephen Lawerence when it happened in Eltham is kind of close to home for myself as well, because we used to live in Eltham in Southeast London, and I remember my sister went to Eltham Green. And during that time, of course, it was like years later after obviously Stephen Lawerence had passed away, but the sentiment was still the same, especially with the Black community there as well. It was that fear of, do you allow your child to go to school on their own? And I remember my mom having to take my sister to the bus stop, staying with her, picking up from school, even in secondary school as well. So it's deep, and it's a weird thing that we always have to wait for, especially when it comes to race relations, where something negative and terrible has to happen for us to even, or a society to even consider change to happen, and that's the deepness of it, and it's still the same to this day. So I'm going to share 2 poems that I wrote during lockdown, and the first poem was really in response to the George Floyd situation, and I tracked back to when I really kind of first witnessed and experienced like racism, whether it was firsthand or like, my family, and having those conversations. So I tracked back and I put it into poetry. So I hope you enjoy it. My sister was told by a customer that she couldn't be a manager because she didn't look like one. Confused and stunned, she took the professional approach and reassured the gentleman that she was who she was claiming to be, and said, "Sir, I can help you. So if you could start by explaining to me what the issue is." The guy looked her dead in the eye and laughed and said, "I can't believe we've come to this." She sighed, read between his lines, and knew exactly what he meant. But rather than retaliate with contempt and reciprocate with offensive words that will most likely be tallied up against her, she politely asked him to leave. Inside, she was mad as hell, but told herself to breathe. The outstanding eyes of our employees became spotlights, marking her steps as she weaved through the silence. I remember my bro being a victim of a racist attack. It was in school when the teachers could not stomach the fact that the perpetrators' faces weren't Black, and they were never excluded. The only justice served was a bunch of excuses, and my bro couldn't talk to the feds. 14 years old, dealing with post-traumatic stress, with having to sit in the same classroom with people that could have killed you. Can you feel his anxiety? But that's nothing new in our society when those are meant to protect and serve you are silent. This is why we're exhausted and tired of the narrative they purported. No representation in governing bodies, but they're busy gathering our bodies and kneeling on our corpses. Yet they say racism is over because we ain't got shackles on our ankles. Just like they never put the wrong cladding up in Grenfell. Like they didn't stop and search you because you were a Black male. Like they didn't say, "You're quite pretty for a Black girl." Like it's all based on skills, but that's 5 promotions you didn't get. But don't worry, next one's definitely yours. Just smile and behave. Don't play the race card in this game. Then you remember the warning that came into your mind, raging like a hurricane. Mama told you, because of your skin color, you'll never be treated the same. But I've met some good officers who have stood for the truth, that put their lives at risk for the benefit of the youth. And I've also met some great teachers who provided a shoulder to cry on. In fact, Mr. Graves attended my mother's funeral. I recently witnessed the unity in my city that was beautiful.
The basket makes food special.
Ooh. So yeah, let me go back to that part. But I've witnessed some officers who stood for the truth, who put their lives at risk for the benefit of the youth. I've also met some teachers who provided a shoulder to cry on. In fact, Mr. Graves attended my mother's funeral. I recently witnessed the unity in my city that was beautiful. I saw Black, whites, Asians taking a knee with placards of "I can't breathe" lifted in the air in solidarity. I saw young activists with clenched fists, Black Panther-esque. It was monumental. Thank you. So that was that one. And yeah, again, he just touched upon the experiences that, my family went through, and the difficulties that we do face, when you're growing up in in Britain as a person of color. The next poem is it's called Loaded Handgun. And again, and I wrote this because I think for me personally, a lot of things changed when I became a father, and I started to view things differently in terms of, like YA said, when you're raising, Black kids, sometimes with yourself, you're growing up, you're like, I can handle certain things, but then, you're looking at them and, you're kind of fearing like their journey, like in school, in preschool, in nursery, like how would they be perceived? The institutional racism that could happen when you're not there. And it's just that fear as well. And also it's that stereotype that comes with being a Black father, and picking up your kids from school and all this stuff that comes with that. So Loaded Handgun is about that, basically. The true narrative of our story is stored in the historic stealth storage, which we scurried through in attempts to reform our misconstrued identities. See, I grew up in social housing, where our local amenity was a grass pitch, and your reputation was dependent on what your dad did. I never had one. They say a fatherless Black child is a loaded handgun, waiting to exude from the chamber of this vacuum, but my father wasn't absent by choice. The grave remembered his name, so we aimed to memorialize it in stone. It was difficult, like a line in your eyes towards analyzing your wrongs, but life shifts gears unexpectedly, so what can you do but ride along? I've experienced firsthand the plight of not having a father at home, but I've also understood that most of our fathers never chose to be absent. Statistics do not always match the reality, for they never seem to account for what families have amassed in calamity. Black fathers who never made it home due to police brutality. Black fathers encumbered by stereotypes and see now similarities. Black masculinity propagated improperly in mass media for profit. Hence the self-fulfilling prophecies. See, I don't deny that some of our fathers never took responsibility, but this shouldn't be the archetype which precedes all Black men. A barrier blinding and impeding the Black lens, because honestly, these stereotypes belong to every racial group. And just because you've encountered a few bad apples, does that mean you disregard the fruit? I was told to know somebody, dig through to the root, to understand the way their branches grew. You can't judge a tree by its fallen leaves without first understanding the soil it was planted into. But we would much rather focus on the consequences than the causes, and then employ an overplayed narrative to wrap around Black corpses. Broken families are the ramifications of what people are currently rallying against. Systemic oppression, implicit racialization, they fund the youth organizations to the streets the youths roam, and not in the Italian sense. I was the same till I met some valiant Black men who showed me that I could be the best that I can be. I couldn't be no passive, no porous. Because when you're Black and amongst the poorest, the battle is different. When grandma tells you stories about colonial rule and how she questioned the actual existence, you're grateful things have changed, but mindful the change that still needs to occur. Nora said only God can save us. And after George Floyd, I was on my knees with her because he didn't return home to his daughter. Now I've got one too, and a son. And I don't want them to be those loaded handguns. But even a gun is not as dangerous as the hand it places its weight on. Guys, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely powerful. Sometimes when I'm listening to poetry, I don't know if I think a few of you do it. You write down the quotables, but I found I was writing your whole poem. Do you know what I mean? I've got to stop now. I can't just write the whole poem out.
Thank you, bro.
Obviously a father's Black child is a loaded handgun. When you talked about earlier about being scared and wary about the journey of your child as well, the last line that you finished off is so powerful, and even the visuals that you did with it, it pays like tribute to it. Well, I mean, like when you said about encountered a few bad apples, do you disregard the fruit, passive or porous, that line as well? How you started the second poem, the first few lines. It was just like, mate, I could go on. But if anyone wants to link in with John Bernard, then I'm sure he will put his links down in the chat. And yeah, like I say, quality content on there on Instagram, like quality videos as well. So really takes his art form serious.
And you're already a brilliant father, John Bernard. Already,
thank you
yeah.
very much. Thank you.
Inspirational. And I would like then to, I'm flying over. I think I've got, have we got Miss Yankee? Is Miss Yankee is Miss Yankee in the building yet?
I'm in the
There
building.
she
I'm
is.
here.
There
Come on,
you
Miss
are.
Yankee.
There you
Sorry.
are. You're there.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay, and the signal looks good as well. The lovely background. When I see that background, I know I'm going to hear fire. That background is legendary, and also those earrings as well. Remember last time, Miss Yankee has actually been doing some work with some of the young people that I work with online. Obviously, we've had to go onto Zoom, and so she introduced them to kind of like free writing and freestyling and just like speaking their truth with prompts and things like that, and they really enjoyed it, and they couldn't wait for her to be back. So that's another thing I've got to look into. But yeah, an amazing person, an amazing woman, similarly to YA as well. I think those two together, if you see them two, don't argue with them if they're together. Just, it's not going to happen for you. Side with them, but if you do side with them, you will be educated, you will be empowered, and you know you will learn and see new perspectives. I will leave it in your hands, Miss Yankee. Miss Yankee can be a little bit touch and go when it comes to the content, so a little bit of a warning. Gary, who's up there in my top right and left hand corner, did let us know that we are broadcasting on radio. So if you feel like just a little bit, just dance around it, but don't let that put you off of the amazing content of Miss Yankee. Miss Yankee, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so unlike a lot of people, I haven't been writing this last year in response to what's been happening, because I've been writing about this for over a decade. And it turns out I didn't need to write any more poetry because I've written it all before. So I'm going to share with you some classics. I will give a profanity warning. There's not a lot of profanity, but I think you'll agree sometimes there are only some words that can be used when you're dealing with white supremacy and vile racism. So I wrote this a long time ago, and this poem is called Fuck Your Feelings. I stopped wondering where your outrage went a long time ago. Oh, I overstand your selective empathy. I have often watched you pray for others and talk about how you don't see color, whilst watching you fetishize black skin and joke about things like wanting chocolate babies. I have clocked the likes and shares of posts that promote everything but the love and hope that you naively profess will heal the world. Many times I have sat, fists clenched, heart racing, stomach turning, teeth grinding, whilst being told by those who are definitely not racist that was then. Life is so much better for black and brown people now, like I should just calm down, shut up, and stop making them feel so uncomfortable. I have been told that the killing of black men and women is not that bad, and in no way comparable to terrorism or even racist by those who will never know the trauma of seeing kin with skin like theirs being hunted down like animals on a daily fucking basis. I wonder if those friends who once ridiculed my brother for passionately insisting that slavery was still very much alive are still laughing now. It shouldn't take a CNN broadcast and some Facebook posts for you to believe that it's real. You've been hearing this for decades, but your eyes stayed shut and your lips stayed sealed. This is not a problem that just magically reappeared after long going away. Libya is not the only place that still trades slaves. What about the slaves of Mauritania, Chad, Sudan, the Congo, Mali, South Africa? The list goes on. So with an estimated 40 million plus slaves being traded worldwide, contemporary slavery should never be denied. There are even slaves locked away in London basements being masqueraded as maids. Today, you may be shocked. But how long will that last? How long before I'm back watching the Facebook walls of silence led by colourblind friends who scroll past fast, occasionally stopping to sign a pointless petition, asking a guilty government to do something about a problem that they helped to create in the first place? I want to smash those rose-tinted glasses straight up in your face and scream at you, but I don't. I can't. I can't express my pain to those who only dare to care about it when it suits them. I can't express my pain to those who don't even know the definition of racism. I can't express my pain to those who stay blind to white supremacy and deny white privilege. I can't express my pain to those who cry white tears and become defensive, who silence me with their fragility and need to not be made to feel bad. Fuck your feelings. Today, I'm expressing mine. And if you don't like it, well, that's absolutely fine. I can live with that. Thank you very much. Now, thank you, people. Now, I'm going to kindly ask my daughters, who are really distracting me massively while I perform, to either just step out of the room or step out of my frame. You would not believe what has been going on in my peripheral while I did that.
You still stayed focused. Still stayed focused.
We tried. I'm going to move on quickly to a piece that I wrote called "Stop It." We talk a lot about young people in our community. We talk at them. We talk to them. We don't listen to them very well, in my opinion. So I wrote this piece for my peers and for other adults that seem to have a lot to say about young people, but don't seem to have a lot of conversation with them. And it's called "Stop It." There's a war in my community, but we've lost sight of the enemy. So much time lost inside our screens that we're numb to these bloody streets. Another stabbing in the news, another story misconstrued. The media are lacking truths, got you desensitized to bleeding youths. Out here profiting from children's deaths, as broken-hearted mothers lay their sons to rest. One boy tried to save his brother, on his chest he pressed, whilst people stood around and filmed his final breath. Snaps, posts, and twisted tweets viewed like they are movie scenes, adults clicking share when they should delete. The youth are spilling blood and you're spilling tea. I see you shaking his heads and talking shit like, that could never be my kid, like, his mama should have given him licks, like, you even care who his mama is. There are youths who feel they have no choice, but their experience is null and void. If they dare to dream, then it's soon destroyed, and the same youths are left without a voice. And even when they ask for help, we don't listen. How can you find a cure if you don't clock the symptoms? We sit and watch them struggle in a broken system and then complain about a broken Britain. Politicians say the youth are lost, yet they keep cutting down on crucial costs. And I swear they've lost the fucking plot, spending Peter print on a chicken box. I once read that if the circumstance was right, then anyone could take a life. And that there is no such thing as a criminal mind, only a set of factors that can drive the crime. Housing sector, funding cuts. Social care, funding cuts. Mental health, funding cuts. Police force, funding cuts. Education, funding cuts. Youth centres, funding cuts. Homelessness, the streets are lined. Child poverty on the rise. Mental illness, huge increase. Stop and search, fuck the police. School to prison, pipeline climbs. Youth on road, numbers up. Austerity is killing us. But I guess it's easier to blame the youth than it is for us to face the truth. The truth hurts. Our youth hurt. Our youth deserve better from us. So stop it. Victim blaming and shaming, stop it. Ignoring their voices and limiting their choices, stop it. Denying their experiences and minimizing their pain, stop it. Blaming them for problems we created, stop it. Allowing the police to violate their human rights, stop it. Supporting racist media who stereotype, stop it. Not holding the government accountable, stop it. We all need to stop it. Thank you. I've got one more piece that I'll leave you with because I know we're behind. In case you hadn't realized, I do take issue and umbrage against the police. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say about that other than to leave you with this poem, which explains why I take my stance against the police, particularly the criminal organization and gang that is known as the Metropolitan Police. I am sick and tired of their crap. So as long as they keep harassing, abusing, and hurting our children, I'll keep talking about it. And if people don't like it, well, you heard my first poem. This one is called FTP, How Would You Feel? How would you feel if your son was illegally stopped and searched on a regular basis? How would you feel knowing that people walked by your innocent child and didn't say shit? How would you feel if your son was arrested on charges that were baseless? How would you feel if your son was illegally stopped and searched on the basis of his race, but if you call it, it's a card that you're not supposed to play, but they're playing with the life of your child like it's a game, but society keeps on telling you that it's perfectly okay? How would you feel? How would you feel if you were told to swallow that anger and be gracious? How would you feel if your son was mentally ill and guilty of no crime other than losing his mind, but was still treated like one of those black boys in hoodies that they demonize in the papers? How would you feel if that same son was restrained like an animal and threatened with a taser when he's already in cuffs and doesn't pose any danger? How would you feel? Because I feel sick to my stomach. And my mouth is full of blood from biting on my tongue when I should be speaking up. I wrote this because I'm angry at the way we let the police discriminate against our children when there are laws they're supposed to keep. I wrote this because I'm sick of being told not all police when so many are complicit in the silence that they keep. Are you not your brother's keeper? I see you see, but do not speak. I see you stand and watch your brother beat a black boy till he bleeds. You claim that you're a good cop, that you care about the streets. But how can you be an angel when you support the devil's deeds? What kind of dick would insist that the police force is no longer institutionally racist? Cressida, it's been 20 years since McPherson. Aren't you the same person that in not so many words said it was hard to imagine a day when institutionalized racism was curbed? And now it's magically gone away. Please. Do you know how many times I've pressed play on my timeline only to find black boys guilty of no crime being harassed by your thin blue line? So either you're being disingenuous or willfully blind. But I don't have time for your little, for your big white lies. It's easy to turn blind eyes when racism and police brutality isn't your reality. When the system in which we live continues to spoon feed racist mentalities, it's easy to deny my truth and maybe even feel a little bit mad at me for making you uncomfortable with words that will be over in a minute, when every minute of the day a black life is reminded why it still doesn't matter to a system that hasn't paid for its crimes against humanity. Fuck the system. Fuck the police. Fuck your feelings and fuck formalities. And if you have to question why I'm questioning moralities, perhaps you need to think on what you've accepted as normality. Thank you very much. I've been Miss Yankee. Thank you for having me. Is that it? Can I just go now, or do you need to ask stuff?
Amazing stuff. Right from the start, the first couple of poems when you said about fetishizing black skin, and it shouldn't take a CNN broadcast. Lines like that, those one-liners, and it's just like what I say, you're an amazing advocate for empowerment, you're an amazing advocate for inclusion, and you as everybody can just see, you say it like it is. I'm going to check with the Met if I've still got that youth mentor contract that I had before this before this broadcast. I'll double check. No.
We have to listen to the community if we're gonna make headway when it comes to the Metropolitan Police. They have to listen.
That's right, and it does open up that conversation. It is, yeah, it does open up that conversation, and I do try to act as a voice for the voiceless, similarly as you do, and I know how passionate about it you are, and no holds barred when you're talking about that like that, because it needs those things need to be said. The way that you put it, I'll smash those rose tinted glasses. The one-liners are amazing, and your delivery and your passion with it is a second to none. You're an absolute teacher to me, Miss Yankee, and I appreciate your time today. Please leave your links underneath.
I'll put them in the chat
for us to contact. But that has opened up conversation. That's exactly what we're all here for as well. It's not just for lip service. Right. Okay. So I know that we are literally run over time now, but I've got an amazing poet who works with us, who works with John Bernard as well, and that's Diary of a Poet. She's been really patient, and then I think Becky is up there and wanting to say her piece. She did the introduction, but then I don't think Gary realized that she had a piece to deliver. So just quick, I think Becky is still there, Polly. So that's Miss Yankee on socials, guys. Thank you so much, Miss Yankee. Diary of a Poet. If you've got a really short, well, not a really short piece, and I appreciate you stepping up to the plate. Reason being is because we were late. We lost Broken Pen. We lost the quarterfinalist from The Voice, and so I had to kind of like fill in for that. And I appreciate your patience. Is everyone happy to kind of carry on with this? Are we all good? Yeah, it's lots of nodding of heads. Okay, and then I'll tie that up then. So Diary of a Poet, then on to Becky. I'll tie it up with a quick poem and hand it back over if that's okay with Gary. Where's Gary gone?
Oh, Gary said I was going to read about 10 o'clock. Are we not going on?
Yeah, we're not going to take it till 10. No. No, right.
I'm not going to read then, no.
Who wants to read? Do you want to read?
Yeah, I asked Gary, and he said, yeah, you'll be on about 10 o'clock.
I'm a little bit lost. Right. So okay. So I've got two poets. Diary of a Poet first, and then Becky is from Polly from Stroud Against Racism. So that's, and then we'll take it from there.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, I won't be long. My pieces are quite short, so
yes.
I won't keep you long. No worries at all. So yeah, this one I wrote this after seeing the George Floyd case. After watching the video, actually, it's I'll just let the piece speak for itself. It's called Earthquake. Earthquake. I can feel the earth is shaken, because another innocent life of a Black man has been taken. And now another family of a Black man has a permanent empty space in their hearts that will forever remain vacant. And now another Black man's future's forsaken. And now another trip to the shop to buy flowers to lay down on the pavement. And now another murderer wearing the same clothes with the same badge being excused when their guilt is so blatant. And now another Black king killed. And now another Black king stolen by the justice system, which acts as a double agent, acting as gods, abusing their power like Satan. Evil. There are far too many evil beings. For far too long, it's been the blind leading the blind, but it's time, way over time, that the blind start seeing. Hardened hearts need to be softened. It's time that they start feeling. So if we must protest and show them the vivid images and bombard them with videos that they deem grotesque, then so be it. This time they will see it. This time enough is enough. Enough police brutality beating Black bodies, leaving them bleeding. Enough white privilege ignoring racism like it's non-existent. Because it hurts in our hearts so bad, and I can feel it. And I'm hurt, and I'm tired, and I'm broken to pieces. Because another Black man is in a grave when he should still be breathing.
Wow.
That's
River
that
Poet.
one.
Thank you ever so much. Absolute
Yeah.
star.
Have I got time to do another quick one, or
The shortest one, because I'm getting pressure now because it's supposed to go into an open mic, but
no worries. Let's leave it there then. Let's leave it there.
I do appreciate it. I'm just under pressure.
No worries.
It's up to
It's
Tish.
cool.
I'll
I
make Tish.
understand.
Tish can do the shout, but that was an amazing piece as well,
Do,
by the way.
do another one, Diary of a Poet, and I'll just do one. Yeah, darling? Go on, go.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I wrote this for my children. I have a black boy and a black girl. Black boy, I have a little black boy. And one day he's going to be a black man. And one day he might have a black boy that he has to teach to be a black man. I'm a black woman, single-handedly raising up a black boy. But always know that I'll always have your back, boy. And I know you have questions about why your dad's not about. So I will do my absolute best to love you the best and hope that you never feel like you lack, boy. Don't ever lack joy. No, we are blessed beyond belief, you will see. As you get older and wiser, you are destiny's child, which means you're a survivor. And you will get through whatever life throws at you, I know it. The world is in the palm of your hands, black boy, you own it. And don't shy away when they discriminate and hate on your race when you face injustice. I wish I could change the state of this place, but I can't because it just is. And you just are a black boy, black girl. I have a little black girl. And one day you're going to be a black woman. And one day you might have a black girl that you have to teach to be a black woman, like her mom. I hashtag mini-me because you really are the mini-me. I see this from the way you mimic me. I know it may seem like I'm too hard on you sometimes, but I just don't want you to make the same mistakes that I did. I don't want you to forget your value like I did. Beautiful black girl. Don't live with low self-esteem and self-doubt. Please remember your worth does not come from a man's mouth. Daughter, be the author of your life and chase the impossible. You can be anything you want in this world, a pilot, a magician, or an astronaut. The sky is no limit for you. And when the world gets heavy on your shoulders, just have faith as small as a mustard seed, and I will move the mountains for you. Notice it is steep as you journey up the hill of being a black woman in this society. But you are already so brave and strong as far as I can see. It's not only those in Buckingham Palace who are royalty, your crown is melanin. You are never less than. Black boy, black girl, your Black Lives Matter. The generational curses end with me, for my children's sake. I will wipe the stigmatized tears that stream down my children's face. Being black is more than skin. I will fight and always speak up for my children's race. Thank you.
Absolute powerful. And the reason why it is powerful is because of the power of words and the way that you're elevating and that kind of affirmation approach. Young people need to hear those words, those empowering, inspiring, lifting words that elevate people. They don't hear it necessarily all of the time, and it's being kind of fought against with TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram and all that negative kind of imagery and all those visuals and media. So for you to, especially when you as a mother are saying, okay, listen, this is where I was at, and this is how you've kind of, when you mini me, I can tell by the way you mimic me. Amazing. And similarly to you are Destiny's Child, which means you are a survivor. So those words just jump out at me. Diary of a Poet, I really appreciate your patience with this. I do want to say to everyone, I didn't just come and crash the party. Gary did ask me to cover an hour. I started at 8:30 and it's now 9:30. So I've literally done what I was asked to do. And if anyone's listening on live radio, I do apologize for any of the profanities or from some of the people that I've introduced you to today. Right, okay, so I did have a piece. I'm not going to do the piece now because I want to go on around the room to other people. I'll hang about and probably come back. If you don't mind me coming back in like literally 20-30 minutes, so just hand it over to you. I'll come back and do a piece. I think Becky's there as well from Stroud Against Racism, so if we can kind of include that. But yeah, kind of that was me, and I just want to thank everybody that's here today. Absolute stars. Thank you. Don't forget the Woodchip. We are giving 10% to Stephen Lawerence Foundation. Forgive me. I'm a good friend of Stuart Lawrence's, so that definitely goes where we say it goes.